So this is my entry into the Benchy race. I just got myself a new Sovol SV08. Mostly I just wanted a bigger 3D printer and one that would go a little faster than my old Prusa Mark III. And this has been exactly what I wanted. So since it's fast, I guess-ish, I figured I would enter into the Speedboat challenge and I don't know, also maybe give a few thoughts about the printer itself. So I printed out, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these as I was learning sort of the primary settings that I needed to tweak to get this to run fast. In general, the biggest thing is just never slow down and never stop. So, you know, full speed on the first layer instead of going slow. Full speed on overhangs and bridges and all of that kind of stuff. You don't slow down for anything. And of course the quality is going to suffer. And that's fine. The point of this is to push the printer as fast as you can push it, and quality is second or third or fourth place priority here. And then there are a couple other settings that really made a lot of difference. The biggest one initially was just to turn off the cooling wait time, and that makes the biggest difference on the tower at the top, the smokestack. You just don't want to wait for a layer to cool. And that cut my time down significantly. And then a couple other things that I did. Turned off retraction because the hot end, well, I guess the extruder, it just can't retract as fast as you would need in order to keep going as fast as you want. So retraction slows things down. Everything just kind of slows down and or pauses as you're retracting. So turn off retraction, turn off wait times for layer cooling, and then those are the primary ones on the slicer settings. And then of course just turn all your speeds up to whatever your full speed is. And the last thing that I had to change, which is in the clipper settings for the machine, is the corner speed. And so far I've turned that up to 40 millimeters per second, which that was the point at which the quality really started to suffer. I could probably turn it up some more and get a faster Benchy, and of course the quality would just get worse and worse. And that's fine too. I haven't really tried to push this as fast as possible because I don't really want to break my new printer. But I did kind of want to see what it would do if I was pushing to at least sort of a, I don't know, kind of the standard limits. I haven't really increased the speeds or the accelerations beyond what the default profiles were using. I just made sure that all of the speeds were up to that default maximum. And then the cornering speed was a big one, but that one's in the, like I say, that one's in the printer settings and not in the slicer settings. So that was kind of fun. With the rest of the time, I thought I would just give my initial impressions of this printer. I've had it just a few days now. Up to now, I've used several 3D printers. I had an original MakerBot Cupcake, so that means I've been around. And of course, that was a horrific printer. Quite possibly the worst printer you could possibly build. And that includes some of the $50 printers you can get from China. It was just a nightmare to use. And really the only thing I did with it was print parts to make an original Prusa Mendel. And that was a decent printer for the time, right? This was a long time ago. Software and the firmware just really hadn't gotten to the level of polish we have today. But it was a great printer for the time, for me. And then I did a few other self-built printers, played around. And I finally kind of got to the point where I wanted to print a little more than I wanted to build printers, and so I just bought a Prusa Mark III, and it's been exceptional. The support, especially the software and the firmware updates and support, are just well beyond what most of the 3D printing companies provide. And so I really have enjoyed that quite a bit. And now this guy, it's faster, it's bigger. The support isn't there, and that's okay, because I'm happy to tinker around a little bit when I have to. And it runs Clipper. That's kind of one of the things that I wanted to get into. I thought about doing a Voron, but like I say, I'm a little bit more on towards the side of using printers than building printers at this point, and so the Sovol SV08 is based on the Voron designs, and I think they even, at least they say they donate to Voron for every printer they sell. That's plus or minus, but obviously they don't have anywhere near the support that a Prusa printer has. So the firmware gets updated maybe once a year. I don't know, I guess we'll see, rather than every couple of months. And the software is just some clone of, it's not even a clone, it's just a copy of Orca Slicer, and they've published three whole printing profiles. So kind of low effort on the software and the firmware side, which is okay. I can handle that for a second printer that I'm using just for large prints. A couple of maybe highlights. The control board would restart randomly, crash and restart randomly the first day, and just intuitively I thought, well, maybe there's a loose connection. Turns out there were lots of loose connections. So if you turn it upside down and look at the control board and the power supply, just about every screw terminal was not loose, but just barely snug. So they weren't tight enough to have a good connection. So I had to tighten all those down, every single one of them. And that's, I don't know if I would say fire hazard, but it's a little bit of a worry, because if you have a loose connection, then you've got a large resistance, which tends to heat up. And then also, some of the cables weren't quite right. I had to readjust them in order to get them to fit the way they were supposed to. That's not that big a deal, but a little bit of a pain in the neck. Yeah, so anyway, it's been great. It's good, from my perspective, it's been a good printer, at least so far. So.